Hello everyone! As of now, it's been 6 years since I've signed up and joined the Fanime community. Wait a salty fucking second. Why am I 16 again? Hold on, what the fuck? Alright, let me fix this. Okay, here we go. Alright, I got some shit to say now. This was a video years in the making. A video detailing the rise and fall of Fanime that I predicted all the way back when I was 15 and originally quitting Magical Nyoto-chan. Since then, I've witnessed a huge rise in content that's drastically improved from its 2007 to 2009 counterparts. But none of the core issues were addressed, and as a result, the perception of Fanime has not improved much from its origins in 2005. Being a veteran since 2011, I have seen a lot of shit, and now it's my turn to once again to pass on my wisdom to the current and younger generation. I want this to be a discussion piece above all. Though backed by evidence, these opinions are only my own. They are also not intended to be an attack on anyone, especially toward any particular persons or works mentioned further on in this video essay. I can easily be wrong, and I'm willing to listen to any counter-argument leveled against me. As Albert Einstein once said, we cannot solve problems with the same thinking we use to create them. Fuck it, let's just cut the pseudo-intellectual shit. Let's get on the facts. Fuck this. I'm trying to sound smart when I'm a complete dumbass. Before we go into solving problems, we must look into how they are created, and that starts with defining what Fanime is and where it came from. Fanime is an ill-defined concept considering how many interpretations are floating around, but I will use this definition. A micro or zero-budget independent work that aims to emulate the narrative and artistic qualities of anime to some degree, seeking to appeal to young and impressionable audience. While not much is known about the direct origins of Fanime, most can trace it to around 2005 with Tokyo Crystal Mew's original iteration, Mew Mew Crystal Tokyo, and later its remake that most can classify as the first Fanime ever made. There were 4 main categories of Fanime at this point in time: self-insert fantasies, anime ripoffs, anime recolor ripoffs, and furries. Oh, and magic card, but that's just plain fucking garbage. We don't talk about that. Unsurprisingly, this shit died off in 2010, and most people thought it'd stay dead. And then, everything changed in 2014, and a huge catalyst for it was, of course, Fanime Update. Now people had a reason to make content. There was someone who's gonna indiscriminately promote it. People then made more Fanime, and at a somewhat faster rate too. And the push was for wholly original content. And it was lit! Look at all this new content! We could be mainstream! This is gonna be fucking awesome! Then, after about 2015, the well started to dry up again. Total Fanime episodes are now reaching a pitiful few, and many notable channels have up and quit the scene, including Fanime Update in early 2017. And, well, we never reached the mainstream recognition we hoped for either. The answer to why this change occurred is the same reason as to why the perception of Fanime is so negative, and that has to do with 3 reasons that will be laid out in this video essay. This is a problem that most people don't normally take into account. It is admittedly a smaller one, but it is something that needs to be addressed, as is the answer as to why none of us are getting the views we truly want. Let's start with statistics, namely with 2 Fanime. Magical Girl School is lauded as one of the best in the community and as a good gateway to Fanime, but when looking towards its total view count, it only breaks to about 70,000. Impressive numbers for Fanime, yes, but when looking at something like Yanako Sugar Girls, the first episode breaks over 1 million. Why is that? That plays into accessibility to mainstream audiences. Nyaneko Sugar Girls is a parody of anime that is designed to trick the general viewer into believing it is the work of a weeaboo, but it's actually a calculated look into how anime has been twisted to such a caricatural degree that it might as well just be a parody of itself, sprinkled in with allusions to famous literature such as Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. Magical Girl School, while having better production values, is a tale deeply entrenched in the conventions of Fanime and does not have the hook that's necessary in drawing in the maximum amount of viewers.
My name is Anako Runner, and I want to be your girlfriend!
I wish it were that fucking easy. One could easily bring up the point of view counts being frivolous, which is true in many respects. The reason why a lot of people make content in the first place is that other people can enjoy it. Why not do things that make your view count higher so that more people can enjoy it? Hell, look at Senpai Club. While it is not a Fanime, it appeals to the same audience as Nyaneko Sugar Girls by making fun of anime, while also using original assets akin to Magical Girl School. That combination actually makes the creators decent money. So no, Fanime itself is not something that's beyond reaching the standard anime viewer. It just takes knowledge on how that customer base works and how to exploit it. It also plays into a fear of being derivative if you take open inspiration from a source, or many sources, probably stemming from the reputation of Fanime being fanfiction. I'm here to say that that's okay. Using other media as a springboard to tell your own stories is common in a lot of film and can serve to enrich a story. Look at Ghost in the Shell and The Matrix. The Matrix took heavy inspiration from Ghost in the Shell, but still made its own place in American cinema, or even with making an animated fanfiction. If the story's good, then it's fine. It's okay to be inspired, but I'm sure all of you are old enough to understand the difference between inspiration and plagiarism. While I could go into the writing quality of Fanime as a whole, I'd rather boil it down to two major points in this category: avoiding or misusing conflict within one story. A solid conflict is essential to create a strong, believable narrative, and many Fanime either forego this concept, or in their attempt to establish this conflict, misuse it to either annoy or at worst, offend the audience. A striking example of the former would be The Seven Sinisters, a slice-of-life comedy that focuses on the 7 deadly sins. With a concept like that, the pool of humor and conflict between these characters is endless, considering they are literally the embodiment of all the worst humanity has to offer. Sort of like a fantastical It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Crash! However, without a driving conflict and characters to fit their roles properly, there's nothing to keep an audience engaged. Keep in mind, this is 20 minutes. You can easily discern conflict and character from a 30-second clip of circles floating around on a screen without sound. This is inexcusable. False inclusivity also plays heavily into this, as well as other media that has been coming out recently. The idea of adding minority characters without giving them any defining features or characteristics outside of their identity markers, or even ignoring physical and cultural features out of fear of being racist. It's a form of stereotyping that does more harm than good, since it erases a lot of the things that make us unique to make a bland image with few variations. In a way, we're all so afraid to be controversial that we take out everything that makes stories and people unique to create something that's bland and serviceable. And it's not okay to censor yourself like that. Though what is okay is knowing how to word yourself. Like with anything, conflict can also be done incredibly poorly, bordering on or even crossing the line into bad taste. Project Unknown falls into this category, but most egregious of its proverbial sins is in the final minutes of its 4th episode. During this time frame, it is revealed that one of the two main characters is a pilot of one of the planes that dropped the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Bringing events like this into a narrative without considering the people that are still affected by this event in history, and with better alternatives at one's disposal, is irresponsible at best and offensive at worst. I could go into the logistics of how the plot point doesn't make sense, but the point still remains that it didn't need to be there. What I'm saying here is, if you're gonna go hard, wear the proper safety equipment and go as hard as you possibly can. That way you don't hurt yourself and you don't hurt others. This, as well as its root cause, is one of the two biggest problems in the community. It's the inability to reflect on oneself and improve meaningfully. This is characterized by one's personality and creative prospects only improving to a point and then plateauing, and in this case, plateauing and being okay with it. This is fine if one doesn't want to take their art seriously, but this is absolutely the wrong mindset to take if one wants to pursue a career in any of the fields that Fanime is tied to. The real art world does not take kindly to people who can't adapt, especially with the market expanding on a global scale. This happens because any form of negativity, even constructive negativity, is shunned in the Fanime community, and an overt message of unrelenting, empty positivity is pushed. When one hears nothing but minimalist praise for their efforts, without the necessary critical thinking skills or drive to motivate them to work harder, it is incredibly easy to stagnate and fester in one's own mediocrity, taking any form of criticism to an extreme personal level. Plus, many of our members are younger. Should we really be teaching them that they are above learning? The real world will crucify them if they go in with that attitude, okay? That's not how things work, and trying to deny it or decry it will only delay the inevitable despair that they'll fall into when they realize that they are not above everyone else, that they are not gods of their own volition. It is one of the most harmful mentalities to have, and we should not foster its creation. Doing so will create a generation of children who will grow up to achieve nothing and blame the world for their shortcomings. That is a generation I do not ever want to see, and we should realize that our behaviors and our actions have consequences on others. While what I say can be seen as an attack on the community that I observed and participated in, I personally do not want this to be the interpretation. I only say these things, use these examples, and disparage the wrongs I see purely out of a form of love. I do not want something that I have invested so much of my time, energy, and soul into to stagnate. I admire Fanime as a concept, a one-man guerrilla operation that exists to serve as a fuck you to the idea that you have to be a top producer to make good content. expressing the ideas that would otherwise never be backed by producers due to monetary interest in focus groups, and creating something that is truly amazing. Lofty words like those hold no weight, however, if they are not held up as an ideal to work towards. And I mean truly work towards, not as something to say, yeah sure, I'll do it, and then be pushed to the side. Study directorial techniques, sound design, voice acting, character design, editing, screenwriting, history, the human condition, but most of all, use all the tools you've learned to create something that others can look toward and think, this is damn good, and keep moving forward since you are not to be stopped. Not by me, not by anyone else, and most certainly not yourself. From a long-time member of the community, I believe in you. In other words,
you bore me, I'm right.
Thank you for your time.